Everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage, and today is Marvelous Monday. I'm Leslie Watkins. I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather. We had some crazy weather yesterday. We had a tornado come through the area, which is very unusual here in New England. Today it's beautiful, sunny, gorgeous, not too humid. And then we have 2 more days of pouring rain coming right up. So I'm going to enjoy it while I can and get some gardening done a little bit later. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you a really fun project. This is a little more advanced. This is not a beginner project, but I think it's really important for beginners to see how far they can go with some of these ideas, tools, techniques, materials, and supplies. So let me show you what I have for you today. This is the stamp set. It's called Timeless Tropical, and it's a really pretty set. It has a hibiscus, some palm trees, a pineapple, a frangipangi, a leaf, and some really nice sentiments in this very pretty script, which is kind of eclectic looking. I like it a lot. We're going to be using Rest and Relax. You Deserve It today. And then you can also get the corresponding dies called In the Tropics, and these are really nice. You have a lot of options with these dies. You have the two that match the flowers, the hibiscus and the frangipangi. You also have one for the palm trees, but then you can make a pineapple if you like, a kind of a 3D pineapple, which is very fun. There's a separate die for the leaves and another die for the body, and that looks something like that. Not going to be using that one today. And there's also a aloha, looks like a banana leaf frond, some other kinds of leaves, a little pineapple that goes with the stamp, and another little group of leaves here. So we're going to be using a number of the leaf images or dies. And then I also have a pair of embossing folders. Now I've decided I'm going to use the Tasteful Textile embossing folder because it's a little coarser, but I wasn't sure, and I wanted to test to see how that looked as compared to the Subtle folder. And I'll show you that here. So here is Subtle, and this is a terrific folder. You can even use this on DSP and give your DSP some texture, which is a very fun thing to do. And here it is next to the Tasteful Textile. So I think you can pick up the difference. Maybe if I bend it a little bit. There we go. So this is the one we're going to be using today. I have a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This is the thick cardstock, and it's just half a sheet, and it's a tent fold. And I also have the Stitch So Sweetly die set. I'm going to be using this second one from the smallest in the rectangular shapes. Now off camera, I went ahead and I did some wet inking of some of the watercolor paper. So this is a combination of, I used Daffodil Delight and Melon Mambo to get this design. And then for the leaves, I used Daffodil Delight and Pretty Peacock. Well, you don't know it's leaves yet, but these are going to be leaves. And then over here, I have just the Daffodil Delight, and I just let that diffuse back into the softness of the plain paper around it, and I put a little accent with the melon mambo in the centers. So I wanted these to be dry and ready to go so that we could cut these out with our dies. And I have some of the braided linen trim, which looks like this. Very nice. I have soft suede ink, and I've got several of the in colors. I've got Bumblebee, Just Jade, and Magenta Madness. So that's a lot of stuff, I know. But when you've been doing this for a little while, you do start to accumulate some supplies, and you can do some of these more advanced designs. So let's see, what else can I show you here? I think the first thing to do is I'm going to take my embossed soft suede. So I'm not sure if I said that this was soft suede. This is soft suede. And I'm also using the soft suede ink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heighten the effect of this coarse texture. So I'm just taking a sponge and I'm going to just dab that on the ink pad, and then let me get my mat because I'm about to make a mess here. I'm just going to come in from the outside and in a very light circular motion go around the edges. And this is a very irregular. I'm not trying to get it even all around. I want it to just look kind of rough. There we go. And then I'm just going to go on the tippy edge and give that a little sponging. Okay. And when you put the paper, the cardstock, through these embossing folders, it softens it up, so you can actually scrunch it up. There we go. I'm gonna give it another little bit of a sponge to try to catch on some of those edges of the folds I just made. Okay. All right, so there is our scrunched up, sponged up, textured background for our card. And that's going to look like this on our card base. And next, what I want to do, I'm just putting this aside for the moment, is I'm going to, well, let's start with the sentiment. Let's get that out of the way first. So I've got a scrap here of Very Vanilla, and I'm using soft suede. Okay, so there's that. And I'm just going to give this a quick clean. now I'm going to take my hibiscus flower mount that on my block, and that just about fits on my D block. It's a little bit tight, but if I move it around a little, I'll get it firmly on there. Then I'm going to take my frangipangi and this larger leaf. I guess it's the only leaf that we have in the stamps in this set. Okay. So I'm going to start with my frangipangi. Now I don't want too strong of an outline, so I'm going to stamp off first. This is the bumblebee, and I'm just going to take my flower and stamp off once. Maybe I'll do it twice. And then I'm just going to try to center that so that the darker spot is in the middle of the stamp. And I'm just picking these out randomly, and I'm just going to go for several so I have a few to choose from. Now I forgot to stamp off on that one. You can see how much darker that is from the others. Maybe we can fit one right here. Okay, that should be enough. Now I'm using the Just Jade. Oh, this is a tough new pad to open. And I'm going to do the same thing, stamp off, and stamp that on the image so that I get a little bit of both the darker and the lighter colors. Okay, maybe we can squeeze one more in over here. There we go. And finally, I'm going to use the Magenta Madness for the hibiscus. And so this time, you know what? I'm going, instead of using that, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a dauber out. So I've got my Magenta Madness dauber and my Bumblebee dauber. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use two different inks. So let me zoom you out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so this is the Bumblebee, this is the Magenta Madness, and what I'm looking for is to get a warmer yellow tone in the center of my flower, and then I want the bright pink on the petals, the outer bits of the petals. Okay, and then I want to try to place this so that as much of the yellow as I can get is to the center. Oh, you can't see that very well. Let's try that again. I forgot to So what you do, once you have your stamp all inked up, you take your breath and you on it to get the ink moist again. So I'm just going to go There we go. Now you can see it a little bit better. So I see if I can fit another one on here. And one more. Now a lot of this line work you will not see, but there'll be just a little bit of the shading that will come through that will indicate some of the folds on the petals. Maybe we can squeeze another couple on here. Okay, so that's our stamping done. Get these out of the way and make way for the die cutting machine. So now, today is the day before the new catalog comes out. So I hope you're all getting ready to place your orders, because in the new catalog is also going to be the brand new cut and emboss machine, and I'm very excited about that because last month I earned a bunch of the bonus day coupons, and I'm going to be using those towards the purchase of my new cut and emboss die cutting machine. So this may be the last time you see my old machine for a while. Okay, so now this is, well, that'll just make it all right. I wasn't sure if it was going to be too big or not. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my leaf die and select one of these nice leaves here. And here is my hibiscus. And this is a very close fit, so you have to just get that right where you want it. That looks pretty good. there are our first die cuts, and I think they look really nice. So let's just do this as fast as I can. I think I'll pick this one. I'm just looking for a lot of variation of color here. I want this to be really bright and tropical. Just a real celebration of colors. So let's get this on here. There we go. And I think you can see how handy these machines are for these special effects. Where'd my leaf go? Okay. And pick a couple more. I'll go with this one over here. All right, so this is the magnetic base that I have, and that's designed to help hold the dies in place. But every once in a while, you get a little magnetic pushback, and when that happens, I'm just putting a little piece of washi tape to hold that in place, and that will hold that secure while I'm putting these dies through the machine here. There we go. Okay, so I think that should do it for the hibiscus. This was so close to the edge that it didn't quite catch this one little place. I'm just going to give it some help with my scissors. There we go. I'm going to save this for later. And now I'm going to just go after a few of these frangipangi. So I want to get these lighter ones. In nature, the frangipangis go from a very pale yellow to a richer yellow with a little bit of a pink edge. So that's what I'm going for here, trying to get that kind of an effect. Let's see if we can line this up. Oh. There we go. So here we are, it's already August. Hard to believe. And if you haven't heard, at the end of this month, I'm going to be holding a weekend stamp camp. And there's going to be all kinds of paper crafting and watercolor projects. There will be a guest artist teaching us other techniques, and lots of treats and raffles and prizes. And if you'd like to learn more about it, just please go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes. And I will be sending out special invitations in the next week or so. So if you're interested in learning more, please do that. And then you will also be updated on all of the upcoming online card, paper crafting, and watercolor classes. Okay, so I think that's enough die cutting for now. If we need more, we can always come back to it. There we go. So here are our, oh, I forgot to cut this out. Let's do that real quick. I'm sure you're all watching me saying, Leslie, Leslie, forgetting this, you're doing that. I know, it's hard. It's hard to stay focused on so many different things at one time. So now I've lost my stitch so sweetly. So this is the one we're going to be using, the second from the smallest. That's a little tight. Let's go one up. There we go. So that is the third from the smallest, and I'm just going to get that in there nicely. And there that is. So our card is going to look something like this. And I just love the way these flower shapes look with the watercolor modeling on it. So once you have a kind of an idea of how it's going to be, I'm just going to put this over to the side. And I have a foam mat here, and I have a number of ball burnishers. So this is the largest one. It's about the size of a large pea. Then this one, a little bit smaller. This one, and then finally the littlest one. And then I've got this sharp, pokey tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently go in little circular motions, and I'm moving from the center out, and I'm just pressing gently. And now this is the thick watercolor paper, so you're going to have to give it a little bit of an extra press here. And then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going around the outer parts of the petals. Okay, so what you can do is you can help it along with your snips by releasing some of these petals a little bit, not all the way. And then just kind of shape these so that the idea is that it's going in on the center and then they're curling back on themselves on the edges. Just snip that little point off. There we go. Alright, so you get a little bit of dimension that way. And I'm just going to go around to the rest of these and do the same thing. Curling the edges of the petals back on the opposite side. And then pressing in on the center. And just gradually working my way out, but with the most pressure on the center. Now if you do this while the paper's still slightly damp, this is nice and dry now, but if it's a little bit damp, it helps you to really form those shapes. Put these down where you can see them. Okay. So I know this is a longer video than usual, but every once in a while I think it's good to get some new ideas. And I hope that this will inspire you to try to experiment with some of the other flower dyes that are available. And that's what I'd like to do on Marvelous Monday. It's not, unlike our paper crafting Saturday, where I try to keep the projects a little more simple, and Watercolor Wednesday, which is obviously focusing on the watercolor. Every once in a while on Marvelous Monday, I'm hoping to bring you some of these more advanced projects that that you can do when you have a little more time on your hands and you want to do something really special. Okay, so there are our hibiscus flowers. Looking really nice. And for the leaf, I'm just going to go on the back side. And then if you want, you can take, if you have one of these pointy shaped tools, you can just run that along the center vein. And that'll help you to get that kind of leaf shape. Let me see if you can see that. There you go. Alright, so we'll do that with these other leaves. I'm just going along both sides, like so, and then up through the center. And I'm firmly but gently, not so much to tear the paper. And give it a little help. And just kind of mold that into shape with your fingers. There, you can see that. Now these bulb burnishers, these are part of a paper crafting kit, but I think you can also get them in the baking section of some of the craft stores, because I believe that this is what the pastry chefs use to help form the decorations for their cakes. And if you don't have any tool like that, you can try a Sharpie. Some of these thick rounded edges can be useful. Or just look around your house and see what you might have. Check your utensils and your tool drawer. There we go. Alright, so then finally we've got the frangipangies. Now these flowers are really interesting because they sort of, there are 5 petals and they're sort of like little pinwheels. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of dimension on each of these petal shapes. And then I'm going to give it a fairly deep cut to release the petals. So you can see this card is going to have plenty of texture. Now I'm just following the lines of the stamp as they go, sort of spiral in there. There we go. And just take some of those points off. You know, sometimes you don't have time to do something, you just want to do something quick. But then sometimes it's really fun to see how far you can take some of these things and just make something that much special. That much more special, I should say. There we go. This would also be a wonderful decoration for a gift box. Okay. Oh, I've got one more. This one, I didn't do such a great job on the die cutting on this one, but I think it's okay. Well, it's not really not very good. All right. All right, so now let's assemble. So I've got my dimensionals, and I've got my glue dots. I've got some of this braided linen trim, which I really like very much. I like to use this when I'm making my my journals. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm mostly going to be using dimensionals because I want these edges to poke up. So I'm not going too close to the edge. I'll just put 5 of them on here. Okay, there's our base. Get that centered on there. You can curl up some of these edges to give it a little more character. If you want, you could put some tears in it. So there's my base. And next I want to get my sentiment ready to go. I think that's going to go there somewhere. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so I want my sentiment to go towards the lower right. And I'll put this one up here. I want to make sure I don't get over the edge of the card base. And I'm starting with my larger flowers first. Okay, so I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment down. And I'm just overlapping these petals. Let's give these a little bend. And finally our leaves. So for the leaves, I'm just putting the dimensional at the base of the leaf so that the tip is free. And what's particularly nice about these leaves is that the die cut gives each one that beautiful serrated edge. It's a really nice detail. There we go. Now I know this video is running long, so I'm not going to keep you by decorating the envelope and the inside of the card, but of course you can do that. And the last thing I want to do is just add a little bit of this trim. And I think I want to keep it kind of casual. So I don't even want a bow. I'm just going to sort of loop it back on itself. And I'm going to fray the edges a little bit at each end. And actually, I think I'm going to just tie a little knot in it. Just like that. Okay, and then take my glue dots . Need a double knot. So I'm just very loosely tying this knot so that it's not too tight. It's just sort of curled up on itself. Okay, just a little something. Just going to put that right there. So there's the card. Let me check my embellishments. I've got these metallic pearls, and I'm going to use the gold ones. I'm just going to take 3 of them. There we go. Oops, one stuck to my finger. I think I'm going to add a 4th. I know we're not supposed to use 4, right? That's okay. I'm going to break the rule here today, folks. So there you have it. There's your beautiful dimensional card. There you go. Find an envelope. So I think that would make a really nice card to give to someone special who's ready for a little vacation. especially now that so many of us are staying at home. Maybe you could give them a little bottle of champagne and some orange juice for mimosas, and they could have a nice afternoon in the backyard. So thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes, and learn more about the summer camps, the summer stamp camp that's coming right up. I'd love to have you join us. And I hope you stay well and stay creative. Enjoy the beautiful weather. And I'll see you on Wednesday for Watercolor Wednesday right here. Bye for now.